fourth grade. This is history, so if you'll open up your history book, we're actually going to be starting on page 10, even though on your chart it says we're going to be starting on 8. I think what I had intended was that we were going to read about the Vikings today, but we read those yesterday. So let's review just a little bit before we read on ahead. Let's talk about the 7 continents. Now, those are the great big land masses on the earth, and there are 7 of them. Now, 4 of them begin with the letter A, so remember that. So you have Asia, Australia, Antarctica, and Africa. Okay, so those 4, and then North America, South America, those are easy. We're North America. And then the one left is Europe. Okay, now that's where a lot of the action started before we had America. That's where our history kind of began. So we have on the earth a person who studies the earth on the outside is a geographer. Now, the study of the land on the earth is geography. Now, my son, he's in geography class, and he's learning all the countries on the whole earth, which are a lot, and so we're not going to get into that. But at least you know that geography is the study of the earth's surface. Okay, we're not getting into the levels inside the earth, not geology, but geography. Okay, now remember, a lot of our story begins in Europe, this continent here, Europe, with all these little countries. Okay, so we have Marco Polo. Get it from this? Do you guys play that in the swimming pool? Somebody says Marco and they have their eyes closed, and everyone else says Polo, and then they have to try to tag someone. Anyway, now you know who Marco Polo was. But we start in Europe. Now, he traveled all the way to China, which back then was a huge trip, and it was dangerous, and took very, very long time. And he came back bearing spices and different foods and things from China, and so obviously people wanted to go there. Now, Christopher Columbus thought, well, I'm not going to go the way Marco Polo went. I'm going to go the opposite way, and it should lead me to the other side of China. Okay, so he's here. Remember, Christopher Columbus was Italian, so this is Italy, the boot-shaped country. Okay, and then he went to Spain and asked Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand for boats so that he could travel west. Okay, now Marco Polo went east, but Christopher Columbus thought, well, the earth is round, so if I go west, I should meet China on the other side. Now, what he didn't know was when he went west, boom, he was going to hit new land. So he actually landed in San Salvador, which is right here. Okay, so these little islands right here. And remember the Indians that were there, that he named them Indians because he thought he was in India. And so they said that the gold that they had was in Cuba. So Christopher Columbus explored around in here. He never actually came up into here where we live, okay? But he explored in Central America, okay? So that was in 1492. Now, if you know the little saying, in 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. So that helps you remember that. And then Christopher Columbus was not the first person to discover the New World, okay? So now I know that there were people already living on the New World, but they hadn't discovered it. They were already lived there, okay? Now, we would say that Europe was civilized, and so we discovered this new land and we wanted to make it civilized, have businesses, governments, and things like that, and to have religious freedoms there as well. So remember, the Vikings, they kind of lived up north, okay, so where it was very cold, and so they wanted to, in order to get food and land, what they would just go is go and steal it, okay, so they went over here to Iceland, and they had some, they conquered some land in Iceland, and then they hopped over here to Greenland. Well, one time their ship was off course, so as they're traveling from Scandinavia, they missed Greenland and ended up in Canada somewhere. And they tried to have a settlement there, but it never worked out. So 500 years later is when Christopher Columbus came along. So the Viking that explored in the Canada, his name was Leif Erikson, which is kind of a cool name. All right, so what do we call the story of what has happened in the life of a country or a people? What is that called? Hopefully you said history. Okay, that's what that is. Now, it's kind of neat because it has his story, meaning God had a plan, God's story for the earth. Everything that's happened in the past is history. Okay, what we just talked about is history. It happened 30 seconds ago. So it's his story. Who discovered America? That was Columbus. When? In 1492. What was he trying to find? He was trying to find a short route to Asia. Instead of going east, he wanted to go west, and he thought that would he could go on the water instead of traveling on the land. What were the names of his 3 ships? The Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria. Why did he have trouble finding sailors to make that voyage with him? Well, hopefully you're saying because no one had ever crossed the ocean before, and they were afraid that the unknown sea was too big to cross. They were afraid they would die of starvation or thirst or even be destroyed by sea monsters. So it was not explored yet. All right, page 10. Let's start reading about how North America is claimed for England. Excitement was in the air. News had just reached England that Christopher Columbus's voyage had been successful. Everyone believed what Christopher Columbus himself believed, that he had reached the far east. John Cabot, an English mapmaker, liked to sail on the Mediterranean Sea and trade goods. Like everyone else, he was eager to find a sea route to the Indies in order to trade goods for more spices. Okay, so we've got... Okay, here, right in here, all this, it's actually tan on my map globe, but this is the Mediterranean Sea. So he wanted to find a new water route. And he said if Columbus had sailed farther north, he would have found an even shorter route to the Indies, thought Cabot. If only I could try it myself. King Henry VII of England gave Cabot permission. With a crew of only 18 men, Cabot set sail. No one knows for sure where he landed, but it was most likely in a part of what is now Canada. Okay, so Columbus landed here, and Cabot thought, oh, he needed to go north, so he ended up here probably somewhere. Thinking that he too had reached the far lands, or the lands of the Far East, he claimed the land for England. This was the first trip an English ship had made to North America. The year was 1497. So it's 5 years later. John Cabot's claim would give England the right to begin English colonies in America. though many years would pass before any colonies were established. At the time when the English colonies were started, the Bible was being read and preached all over England. Englishmen were working hard for self-rule and for the right to worship God as they thought the Bible teaches. The English people who would finally come to America would bring with them biblical ideas that would be used to make our country a land of freedom. So, how did America get its name? Let's read about that. After news of Columbus's discovery spread, other sea captains lost their fear of sailing across the Atlantic Ocean. They were eager to make their own discoveries. One such explorer, an Italian, so he was also an Italian like Christopher Columbus, his name was Amerigo Vespucci, and he claimed that he had crossed the Atlantic Ocean 4 times between 1497 and 1500. He wrote a letter saying, "I have found a new world." Like Columbus, he had reached South America, but unlike Columbus, he realized that this could not possibly be part of the Indies. So they landed in basically the same place, but Columbus thought he'd landed in India, and Amerigo Vespucci knew that there's no way that could be India. So he said he had discovered a new land, even though it was the same. Although Columbus really found the New World before Vespucci, Vespucci was the first person to call it the New World. To Europeans, the land Columbus discovered and the land Vespucci discovered were 2 different places. From that time on, Americans spoke of the land Amerigo Vespucci had found as the New World. So that just shows it's the same land, but it just had 2 different views of it. In 1507, a German mapmaker did not know what name to give the New World. After reading Vespucci's letters, the mapmaker decided to name the New World America to honor the man he thought had discovered it, Amerigo Vespucci. At first, the name America meant only South America. With the passing years, as other explorers found out that there were 2 continents, the name America meant both North and South America. Within 30 years, the Old World, which was Europe, realized that Columbus, not Vespucci, had discovered the New World, America. However, the name America remained. So if Columbus had said that he had found a new world, maybe we would live in a country named Columbus. I don't know, okay? But he didn't. He said, "Oh, this world is India." He should have said it was new. The people of the Old World still believed they could find a faster sea route to the rich Indies from America. To find this route, men tried to get around America. They tried to find a river through America. Little by little, they began to realize the enormous size of the New World. Columbus's discovery was leading to greater discoveries in the history of America. So imagine, some of them, okay, so here's Central America. Some of them thought, well, you need to go north to get around it. Well, you can't go north around it. And then to go south around it, whoop, look at all this land. So there was really no way around this, okay, unless you went very much north or very much south. Okay, and then tomorrow we will talk about some new explorations, okay? So, and then also we will be working in our history map study skills book, okay? So we'll have that out tomorrow.